Good afternoon and welcome to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet. Nathan Zagura. Bo Bishop remains on assignment, but I have Gibbe with me. Gibbe!
He's a lot of assignments.
A lot of assignments.
A lot of
assignments. I think last night he had like a bourbon where he revealed his bourbons of choice out of the barrels and did some
There was
cool
a
stuff
big
down
deal
there.
with one former Browns quarterback, Brady Quinn.
Oh my.
It was his foundation.
Ah, well, how about it? So it'll be me and Gibbe today, but it's a Wednesday, so you know we've got a lot of stuff going on. Players back in the building, practice starting at 2:05. We'll get you updates as soon as we have them. These are our hot topics of the day presented by University Hospitals, the official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Good news from a health standpoint, all players on the active roster are expected to practice today. The Browns have made a roster move as well. They have signed cornerback, who baby? Chigozie Anuzium. It's pretty good. Actually, it actually sounds a lot like it's spelled, which is pretty good.
Walking up now.
You want a little Jameis?
And he's been signed from the Washington Commanders practice squad and undrafted rookie out of Colorado State. But now let's go to the podium presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Here's your quarterback, Jameis Winston.
You're down.
How was y'all bye week?
How fondly do you look back at those 4 years you had in New Orleans?
How far?
Fondly.
How fondly?
Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful for every opportunity that I have, but I'm really grateful for the time, really 1 year that I had with Sean Payne and Drew Brees, of just learning how to play the quarterback position the right way.
I was going to ask you, how much did that shape you into who you are now?
I think it definitely was a process where I was looking to take all the superpowers that Drew Brees and Sean had and implement them in my system. Yeah.
How difficult were some of the lessons that you learned? You talk about learning how to play quarterback. How difficult are those lessons for a young quarterback to actually learn? You know, because everybody's sort of, you think about your talent, but there's more to it, obviously.
It's what to do and what not to do. And when you see a quarterback that has done it at a high level for a long time under a system, and then for a long time, you just see the day in and day out detail and intentionality that is taken with every play.
James, 21 looks really good statistically for you before the injury. Was that the best you played, and whether it was or wasn't? Like, what worked in that stretch?
We ran the ball well, we threw the ball well, and we played great complementary football. And that's the key to success for any team. But that was a fun year that ended shortly.
What do you take away from your last start, the 3 interceptions, and how you've been a guy that's been known as you're willing to let it fly and go vertical. So how do you balance I want to take care of the football with I want to be true to myself and challenge defense?
Yeah, everything in terms of every play is judged off decisions. So I'm assessing how was the decision, right? A lot of situations can arise up in the game. But as long as the decision is right, then I'm building on it, and I'm just eliminating the negative part.
How do you feel about then you ran the decision? So when you go back and you look at that last start, how do you feel about the decisions that you made in that game?
Yeah, I feel like I made some great decisions, but I also feel like that there's some that I can eliminate to be better.
So when you look back at that 21 season, I think it was 14 touchdowns and 3 picks in those 7 starts. What were you doing so well to eliminate those negative plays?
I think just as a team, we did a great job of playing together. And Sean Payne is one of the best play callers in the game. And again, watching the process of someone in front of me do it over and over and over again, and just going out there and being who I am. Taking care of the football. Great job carrying out my fakes. You know what I'm saying? Just doing everything that's required to win.
So, James, when you say that you learn what to do and what not to do, playing with Drew Brees and Sean Payne, it sometimes looks like those interceptions are thrown right to the defender. Obviously, then that's not what you're trying. So how does that correlate with learning what not to do?
Yeah, I think that goes to one play at a time. Everyone has their unique perspective, but only few, actually 32 people, are actually within the pocket and getting a chance to execute that. So with my preparation, I'm going to continue to focus on one play at a time and eliminating the negatives and building on the positives.
To the point about watching Drew and Sean work, what's something that you didn't do before then that you do now, or that you didn't do before then that you do?
I think the biggest thing was just how my film sequence, how I watched film throughout the week, just studying how Drew prepared, and he prepared like tirelessly. And the way that I prepared when I got in, sometimes it was too much. So he was so efficient with his schedule. I believe that I became more efficient with what I do instead of just doing all I can do.
What's too much?
Well, it can be defined in certain ways, but when you're overloading your mind with information that's unnecessary, and when you're taking away the study and making it just about watching film.
Sometimes good quarterbacks, like yourself, you were off to a great start there in New Orleans. You had those 2 challenging years with the injuries. Sometimes guys don't get another chance. Now you see you're here getting another chance. Jared Goff got another chance. Geno Smith. How grateful are you that you're back in the saddle and getting to play football again?
Yeah, I'm grateful for this moment. Opportunities only come so often. So definitely it's a privilege to lead the Cleveland Browns organization and be a starting NFL quarterback. And I take pride in that, and I'm going to continue to do my very best.
To that point, you see everyone rushes to judgment of that. Every new class of quarterbacks now, it's Caleb and Drake and Jaden. What are people missing about why quarterbacks need time to develop again?
Yeah, I think one, for all the rookies, like the rookies should not worry about any public scrutiny. Because again, they're chosen. I think it's a process. Like you see, young guys coming in, getting used to the speed of the game, understanding that when you come from college, there's some good players, but they're not the best players in the world. And as the quarterback position, it's only one of you, so you have to be on top of every single thing. And I think through experience and wisdom, some people have time that they can grow. But I think when you play, like I've been in the league for 10 years. So I had to do something well for me still to be here. So just continue to let it fly, continue to build on, like, how's my decision-making process? Like, don't worry about the outcome and just focus on getting better every single year.
Hey, Jameis, with this particular Saints team, they got up to the hot start. They've had some injuries. They've struggled. But what stands out about this defense and how dangerous they could be?
Well, what stands about this defense is I know their leadership. Demario Davis and Cam Jordan are some of the best teammates and leaders that I've been around. And just speaking on Demario has helped me out so much just as a man, practicing against him every single day, walking in faith in Christ with him. So I know the spirit that he functions from, so I know he's definitely one of the leaders of this team. And I know Cam Jordan, highest energy. You think I got high energy, the highest energy that can even be imagined, and he also applies that energy on the field. So when you got people like that, and Tyrann Mathieu, I had 2 years with him. He's one of the best safeties to ever play. When you got pieces like that on your team, you find a way to win. And I'm also happy for Darren Rizzi. This is another person we're talking about opportunities where, man, he's been special teams, getting a chance down in Miami, but he's always been one of the best special team coaches, and now he has his opportunity, so he's trying to make the most of it.
Jameis, as a quarterback now of a 2-17, how do you reverse what's going on?
One play at a time. We cannot fall victim to what's behind us. We cannot press too far to what's ahead of us. We have to focus on one day, one play, executing it perfectly, one play at a time.
Demario Davis said that you were the best teammate that he's ever had. How much does that mean coming from a guy like that, to hear something like that?
Well, that means so much coming from a guy like that, because Demario was one of the key influences in terms of discipleship of me continuing to walk and follow in my faith and trust in the Lord with my whole heart, just because of the man he is. Seeing him being a great father, seeing him being a great teammate, seeing him being an elite player, obviously inspired me to be the man and the player that I am today.
James, Kevin's talked about getting the run game going without the bye. Why do you think it hasn't been what it usually is around here?
Well, I mean, one reason is when you're studying the running back position, it starts with the front, right? And our front has been banged up from time to time. We just got one of the best running backs in the league, back. So I think just everyone developing a synergy right? And us all gelling and working together, that's what leads to a great, efficient run game, right? And Nick is getting healthy. Jerome, Pierre, and Dustin Foreman, they did a great job. But at times we were in games where we had to throw the ball more, right? So I think us staying ahead of the sticks, being efficient, will allow our running game to continue to pick up and continue to increase.
Jameis, I saw that you recently took part in a spelling bee. Can you tell me about your spelling bee and how good it is?
Well, my spelling is really good, but in terms of real tea, they have polyphenols in them, and they're just very healthy for you. Like, I support real tea because it's a great tea. It's a hydrating tea, and it's one of the purest, cleanest teas that you can ever buy because it's real tea.
Can I ask one more?
Thank you for the ad.
Can I squeeze in one more real quick if you don't mind? Do you feel like going back there and just so many things that went on for you there, will you be overcome with emotion? I mean, do you kind of have to prepare for just being overwhelmed a little bit?
You know, I just function out of gratitude. You know, the people in New Orleans, I really love them. They really helped that transitional period in my life. They filled it up with joy. My teammates, they encourage me, they push me, and the city of New Orleans is one of the best cities, you know, to be a part of. So I'm definitely excited. But my primary focus is going out there, executing one play at a time perfectly. And that's it. Because at the end of the day, all the emotions and all the I love you, that doesn't matter. All right. All that matters is us as Cleveland Browns to go out there, execute one play at a time to the best of our abilities. All right. Thank you.
You're up. All right. That's a focused Jameis Winston getting ready to return to New Orleans, where he went 6-4 as a starter in over a course of 4 seasons there with the New Orleans Saints. And so Jameis Winston, we've seen 2 games from him. One of them had him as the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, the game against the Ravens, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. One of them was a bit of a struggle, 3 interceptions against the L.A. Chargers. Now, you talk about a team that takes the football away. That is exactly what this Saints team does. Think about this. The Browns have 1 interception this season. The Browns have 0 interceptions from their secondary this season. The Saints on the year already have 12 picks. That's right, 12 interceptions this season. They have been very, very good taking the football away. 3 of those interceptions from the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, who has been a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's got 36 picks, the most among any active player in the National Football League this year. So this is a team that absolutely can take the football away from you, and that's even after they traded Marshawn Lattimore away. So you've got to be very, very careful of that when you're going against them, and that's what Jameis Winston has battled, right? 102 interceptions in his career, the most since 2015, tied with Matt Stafford. Now, Matt Stafford's played over 50 more games than Jameis during that span, so that's what you're going to have to be very, very careful about. You're going to have to be very conscious of that when you are playing against this team. Now, they're kind of banged up in their secondary a little bit, and they made the trade of Lattimore. Last week, they didn't have their second-rounder, Kool-Aid McKinstry, which I hope he plays just because what a fantastic name that's going to get to use that one on the broadcast. But they didn't have Kool-Aid McKinstry last week. They played Shamar John Charles, who was a 5th-round pick in 21 for the Green Bay Packers. He played 78 snaps. Alante Taylor, who was their second-rounder in 22, is the nickel. That guy's having an incredible season. He's got 4 sacks already this season. That is the most among any DB in the National Football League. Also has 10 passes defensed, 7 tackles for a loss. I mean, he has been absolutely everywhere. The guy's been sensational, Alante Taylor. And then they had to play as well last week. Will Harris, who had 8 tackles. He's got 1 interception so far this season. He played the full allotment of snaps. So this is a team that's got to dig deep a little bit in their secondary. It is not full of what you would call kind of, you know, home run or name guys. The other one that started was Ugo Amadi. Ugo Amadi, 4th rounder of Seattle in 2019. He's got this year no interceptions, nothing like that, but he had to play 78 snaps, and they did a pretty good job. Now, Kirk Cousins threw for over 300 yards, but it was missed field goals and then some fumbles that ultimately derailed them in that game. But this is a good defense. Stat-wise, not good in terms of 29th against the pass. They've been a terrible run defense. This is the game to get Nick Chubb going. It is. What, Gibbe?
I thought we were doing Meet the Saints in the next segment.
We are. I was just going over a couple
I
of things as it relates to Jameis Winston.
No,
Take
you're
care of the
good.
football.
You're
But
good.
we'll get into their.
I was confused too.
We'll get into all of their defensive stuff
Kev.
and more of that a little bit later on. Gibbe, did you see what happened in New York on WFAN last night?
No.
So they were complaining. The host was a name by the name of Chris McMonagle, was hosting, and he was complaining about the hideous NBA courts for whatever this tournament is that going on, and they're
awful. Yeah.
It's absurd.
It's the in-season tournament.
Who cares? It's dumb.
I don't know.
What do you get for winning it? Money?
Now known as the NBA Cup.
What do you get for winning it?
An NBA Cup.
Do players get more money?
And plus the winning team, the players each get $500,000.
Okay. Anyway, so he was talking about that and compared these hideous courts to that bright red Kenny Rogers roaster sign that blinded Jerry during the famous Seinfeld episode.
Yes.
And McMonagle's producer, a guy named Paul Rosenberg, jumped in and said, well, that was one of the few good Seinfeld episodes. They then had a conversation about where Seinfeld stood as one of the greatest, if not the greatest sitcoms of all time. Well, it just so happened while this discussion was going on, somebody was listening who called in, and that somebody was Jerry Seinfeld. Called in, wanted everybody to know he was fine with Rosenberg not being a fan of the show. He said, it doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it. 1 out of 2 is fine. McMonagle referenced Rosenberg saying there are only a few good episodes. Seinfeld said, we made 180 episodes, so we made 3 good ones. We're like the Giants, 3 and 177, which was hilarious. Then he asked him about the Mets campaign, and he absolutely loved the Mets. He said it was the most magical Mets season, not counting the 2 World Series wins. He loved it, and obviously he was certainly bummed that they didn't go and win the whole thing. He did go after McMonagle about the Bronx Bombers' collapse in the World Series. He said, tell me about the pain of the 5th inning. Tell me about it. I want to know, what did that feel like as a fan? He said, do I have to go over this with Jerry Seinfeld? And I said, yeah, I want to hear your pain, which is fantastic. So Seinfeld was listening, calling in. I thought that's
Why
awesome.
can't he call into our show?
It'd be great. Jerry, we're talking about you right now. We have nothing but praise for you and LD. The best part at the end of it, Jerry says, thank you for taking my call. Thank you for sticking up for me. I just want you to know my feelings were not hurt. Like, of course, if Jerry called in, we would change the whole path of the show right now.
Yeah.
We would talk with him as long as he wanted to.
That's pretty awesome. That's a great job by him.
Yeah, it's cool. He's driving around listening, just calling in. I love that he loves sports. He's just driving around New York listening to sports talk.
Is he calling just a call-in line, or is he calling?
Think so.
Is it like a hotline? He's like, "Hey, this is Jerry Seinfeld."
I think he called. Yeah, could you imagine?
No, because a lot of those places, like the call screener is probably a college kid interning. Excuse me, who? I have a Jerry Seinfeld on the air,
like the Jerry Seinfeld.
Hold.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I did not see that. I got to go back and listen to it.
By the way, I don't know if you have this in Around the League or not, if there is Around the League.
I don't have an Around the League,
Okay.
but we will in place of Coach today.
We got to play Coach. Come on.
You want to play some of Coach?
Yes.
today?
It's the coach of your team. Got to play him. So the Eagles-Cowboys game on CBS, which was Nance Romo, right? And was unwatchable, 34-6.
Unwatchable.
Do you know how many people watched it?
Probably 18 million.
25 million.
Delusional Cowboy fans.
So talk about them getting flexed out of prime time. It's not going to happen. They're right about it.
Where were they thinking about being flexed?
Just because they're not good, taking them out of all the primetime games they have. And Joe Buck was like, yeah, that's never going to happen because they draw. And guess what? He was exactly right. Here's another one. This is amazing. So there's a guy named Mr. Civ on Twitter.
Okay.
CIV. And he wrote after Jared Goff threw 4 interceptions against Houston, he made up a stat and tweeted it out. Interesting, with eye emojis. This is now Jared Goff's 7th career game with at least 4 interceptions. His record in those games is 6-0. Does Goff have the Texans right where he wants them? This is what his tweet said. Civ goes, if you've ever wondered how easy it is to spread fake information, I made this stat up while laying in bed at halftime of the game. Made it up, tweeted it out. It goes around all over the place. In fact, it goes around so much that on the McAfee show yesterday, Aaron Rodgers, who has often spoken about how he likes to do his own research, fell for the made-up stat and repeated it during his weekly appearance on the McAfee Show, talking about how Goff was now 7-0
Don't get
in
hooked.
games with at least 4 interceptions. Meanwhile, Jared Goff, that was the second time in his career that he's thrown 4 interceptions, and he won, so he's now 1-1 in those 2 games. So guy made up a stat. It just goes around. Nobody checks anything, and then it comes right back, and there you go.
How does that happen? That's amazing.
And then I don't know if you've seen this. This is sports. This is broader sports, not just the NFL. But first of all, these courts are just horrific.
Yes.
And last night,
I've seen them. I saw them last year. I think aren't the Cavs in Vegas for this? Or is that the Vegas the finals?
They play the Sixers.
That's the semifinals and finals is in Vegas. That's
okay.
The only time it goes to a neutral court. You play 4 other teams. You only play them once, so you get 2 home games and 2 away games during your pool play. This is supposed to be like soccer overseas, where they have tournaments within their regular seasons happening at the same time. That's the NBA trying to reach out more to a global audience.
Yes.
I don't know. The NBA season's 6 months long. So
I know.
4 games.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just,
4
just
games.
a little background.
You still got 78 left. I'll shout them out. They're trying to have an answer and be creative.
Okay, so anyway, last night one of these games was the Raptors and the Bucks. The Raptors won the game, and there's a player for the Raptors who has could make highlights tough. His last name. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Grady is his first name.
Let's go with that. That keeps us out of meetings.
Have you seen the clip of Charles Barkley doing the highlights with Shaq?
Yes.
And they're dying. It's great. It's on Awful Announcing, at Awful Announcing. I recommend everybody seek it out. It's hysterical.
Those guys are national treasures.
Treasures.
What are we going to do a year from now? And where is the solution to this problem?
It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
That show's going to go away.
Yes. Yeah. It's outrageous. But this is everybody, that's worth your time. Go ahead and seek that out. I think you'll be very, very pleased that you do. All right, when we come back, we will actually meet the Saints again, sort of, here on Cleveland Browns Daily. And it is brought to you by Bally Bet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $25 or more. You'll get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, an official sports betting partner of the Cleveland Browns. All right, Gibby.
I do have a little bit of news. Jordan Hicks, just speaking to the media a few minutes ago, says he was hospitalized for 2 days after week 3 with an infection in his elbow. Hicks then says he then suffered a tricep injury week 4 in Vegas.
Man.
Had a rough go of it.
Yeah, that's scary.
He is due back this week, which will be welcome, given the fact we just don't know a whole lot about JOK.
Yeah, it'll be good to get Jordan Hicks back. Jordan Hicks, he's got a streak of 5 straight 100-tackle seasons, and right now he's going to really need to crank it up. He's at 24 tackles through 9 games. He's going to need 70 for about 10 a game, just over 9 a game for the final 8 to get there, which hopefully he could do. By the way, I also, as mentioned in the break, I thought you were having a little too much fun. So they played a spot. It was a Howard Hanna spot.
Yeah.
So there have been 2 times in my career where I have made a guttural noise in the middle of an incredible call.
It's a Lachey.
It's not a Lachey. It's not even in the same ballpark of. It's no. I reject that.
Okay.
That's like talking and taking over. Like sometimes even calling the play. Like I never said a word.
Correct.
So the first was obviously Cade York's walk-off 58-yarder when I went like
your first game.
First game.
Pretty
dramatic finish to my first game. To be fair,
we went over for 5 months. I will never forget you. I came downstairs because you and the voice and everybody go ahead, and then, Spano and I are cleaning up and tearing down, and we got to get everything downstairs. And you're waiting for me outside the bus. You're like, I did exactly what you spent 7 months telling me not to do. And I was like, you're fine. We won.
It was fine.
It's all good. Don't do it again.
And then the other, and I think it just dawned on me hearing it and hearing you laugh. I love that they put that in the ad, was obviously the touchdown to Tillman, and the most emotional game I would say that I've probably broadcast ever in my life. And it was I just thought about it. It was like game was the Jim Donovan game. That was for Jim, and it harkened back to my very first game, like officially doing it, not in London, obviously, but to my first game. So I thought that made me smile a little bit, even though you were making fun of me. I enjoyed it. So there.
It was a great moment.
Great moment. All right, here we go. Saints 3-7 on the season.
They are garbage.
They are
Beat them.
3rd in the NFC. What do you hate the Saints for?
They're not good.
No, they're not good.
Okay, that's what I said. They're garbage. Go beat them.
But then
please.
you said I hate them.
Okay, I hate's a strong word. I'll scratch that from the record.
Great uniforms. Great city.
Great city. Sucks that we have to play at noon.
It's fine. It's fine. By the way, I was looking at our schedule for next year. Our road trips for next year. Have you looked at this at all?
No.
So
it's NFC North, isn't it?
Yeah. Detroit and Chicago.
We haven't been to Chicago since I don't know when.
For a long time.
Yeah.
But so you think about it. So our divisions are always short road trips. Detroit and Chicago,
Detroit's a bus ride. Gross. Not for you.
I'm going to have to drive myself to that
peasants.
one. So those are short. Jets and New England.
Ugh.
New England's not great, but New York's great. Short. But I'm saying they're all short. And then if
New England's okay because of Rhode Island and the food scene. The food scene in Rhode Island is that's where we stay.
It's not an easy get out of though, right?
No, it sucks.
Yeah. And then the one, if like our match road, because we only 8 road games next year, but our match road game is same finish in the AFC West, which if it holds would be Las Vegas.
Oh boy. Well, hope for a little better result.
But I was looking at it last night. I'm like, this is a pretty good slate.
Now
there's only one long flight in that.
Yeah. Now the guy on social media that has us playing the Jets in London would take that away.
That would take away our New York trip.
I'd be sad.
I would be sad. I'd like to go to New York.
I love New York.
Take the Patriots game.
Yeah.
They
please.
played there this year though. They played there this year.
And you wouldn't take away our home game? A home game? Probably
you could
not.
because we have 9 home games.
Yeah.
So maybe they would. Maybe it would be a home game. Who knows?
Oh, Detroit.
Detroit's great. Dome, close.
You remember? I mean, when we had to play Buffalo,
Yeah, I remember.
and we were like, and they were like, because the home
Did you
radio
get
booth
bussed
was
in for
set
that,
up-
or did you drive for that too?
we bust because the weather was awful.
Awful. I know.
Awful.
I remember I drove in.
I remember we couldn't use the home radio booth. We were the home team, but we couldn't use home radio because it was set up because 3 days later was Thanksgiving. So they put us in the national radio. We were outside of like the radio
We're
row.
just standing in like a brick area.
Yeah, literally at the
In the
top.
ceiling.
You could touch the roof.
So Siciliano was telling me as we're getting, and he joins the program today at 2, that New Orleans' booth is like you couldn't be further away or higher up, and it's freezing.
Yeah, you weren't in the booth the last time.
No, I wasn't. But I do remember even that
I remember how high it was.
the stands are very far away from the field there. So I'd imagine the booth has to be really far.
I just remember we had to walk all the way across the field,
Yeah.
like gear and everything.
You had a lot of
It
people in the
sucked.
booth that day.
Huh?
Said you had a lot of people in the booth that day.
Boy, did I. It's a small booth, too. I've requested monitors, and I'm like, hey, like, have you So I guess they've gone through some significant upgrades because they're hosting the Super Bowl. So they're like, oh, everything's great. I'm like, are we sure? Last time we were there, it was a challenge on the Wi-Fi, or on the Wi-Fi and the field mics.
Fantastic.
The frequencies were all over the place.
I'll say. All right, let's meet the Saints. 3-7. Their new head coach is Darren Rizzi, who is looking to become the first New Orleans Saints head coach to ever go 2-0 in his first 2 starts as the interim head coach. He was previously the special teams coordinator after they fired Dennis Allen. Browns lead the all-time series 13-6. Last meeting was 17-10 here in Cleveland. The Saints won on Christmas Eve 2022 in that freezing game. Alvin Kamara ran for a touchdown. Taysom Hill ran for a touchdown, and that pretty much ended the Browns' season in 2022. In their last game, they just beat the Falcons 20-17 at home. Younghoe Koo missing 3 field goals for the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, if he makes one of them, it's a tie and could go into overtime, and the Falcons were the better team. If he makes 2 of them, they win. What to watch for on offense? This team right now, this year, here are some of their rankings. They are the number 13 rushing offense, number 16 passing offense, number 16 total offense as well. They are scoring 22.7 points per game, also 16th. So are they middle of the pack? Yes. They have only thrown 6 picks. That's 11th in the NFL, 11th fewest. Time possession, 29 minutes. That's 22nd. Third down conversions, 38%. They're 17th there. Red zone, though, they've been good. 19 of 31. That's 9th, 61%. And at the goal line, they are 87%. That's 3rd best in the league. So when you get into scoring territory, they've actually been pretty good. 22.7 points per game. That's not too shabby. Browns averaging 16.4 points per game so far this season. All right, offensively, they're led quarterback Derek Carr, 3-4 this year, 67% completions, 1,494 yards, 8.1 yards an attempt, though, which is good. It means they're not throwing it a lot. 11 touchdowns, 4 picks, 93 rating. He's rushed for 39 yards and a touchdown on the ground. He's been solid. His career 4-1 against the Browns, has not lost since he was a rookie back in 2014. 62% completions, 426 yards. That's basically 285 yards a game. 9 touchdowns, 3 picks, a 92 rating. He's won 4 straight against the Browns. When they run the ball, and really when they throw the ball, it's going to be Alvin Kamara. Kamara this year, 715 yards rushing, 4.3 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns, leads the team with 51 catches, leads the team with 421 yards receiving and another touchdown. He already has 7 games with 100 or more total yards. That's tied for the most in the NFL with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. He leads the NFL with 218 touches. He is 3rd in the league with 1,136 total yards. He is a 5-time Pro Bowler, and believe it or not, he does not have a single 1,000-yard rushing season in his career, although he is well on his way this year with 715 yards already. They also have the Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill this year has completed a pass. He's run it 27 times for 130 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has 10 catches for 100 yards. Last week had an 88-yard touchdown catch erased by a penalty. He did score against the Browns last time. He's got 53 career touchdowns, 30 rushing, 11 receiving, and 11 passing. They also, at the wide receiver position, they just signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling last week. 3 catches, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is a guy who can fly for his career. 17.2 yards a catch, 18 touchdowns. That was his last game with 100 yards since the AFC Championship a year ago with the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris Olave is on IR. He is out. They really don't have any receivers of note. Cedric Wilson is probably their most accomplished receiver on the roster outside of Valdez-Scantling. But they throw it to their tight ends a lot. Juwan Johnson's got 22 catches for 247 and a touchdown. Foster Moreau, 12 for 167 and 3 touchdowns. But it's really the Alvin Kamara show. On their line, they start 3 different first-rounders. Their left tackle, Taliese Fuaga. Taliese Fuaga is their left tackle first-rounder out of Oregon State. He's given up 5 sacks and 27 pressures, so struggling a bit in his rookie season. Their right tackle, also their first-rounder from 2019, Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. Their right guard was a first-rounder in 2020, Cesar Ruiz. They got Connor McGovern at center, or Eric McCoy there, who was a Pro Bowler last season. And they've got Lucas Patrick at the left guard spot. So they've got some talent on that line, 3 first-round picks starting there. But again, not an explosive offense. Their backup quarterback, in case you're wondering, Spencer Rattler. And Rattler this year 0-3 as a starter. Now, defensively, we talked about it. They're not great in the statistical categories, but they take the football away very effectively. So this year, they've got 22 sacks, 19th in the NFL. They're giving up 25 points a game, 23rd. 141 yards rushing, 5.1 yards a carry, and 14 touchdowns rushing. They're the 27th run defense from a fantasy standpoint, and then from a running back standpoint. Running backs are averaging 113 yards, 7th most, 5.2 yards a carry the most, and have 12 rushing touchdowns against them, 2nd most in the NFL. They've already allowed 4 100-yard runners and a running back touchdown in 6 straight games. Nick Chubb, let's go. They are also the 29th ranked pass defense, 244 yards a game. They're the 28th total defense, 385 yards per game. 6 yards a play they've been giving up. So this should be a game for the offense to thrive. Now, where they get you, turnovers. They have 12 interceptions, 4th most in the NFL. They're +4 in the turnover differential, tied for 9th there. 18th on 3rd downs. They're great on 4th down, the number 3 4th down defense. They've been good in the red zone. They've only allowed 12 red zone trips all season, which is stunning to me. They must give up a lot of touchdowns from deep because teams have scored 5 touchdowns against them in the red zone, but have 22 touchdowns against them this season. That means 17 touchdowns outside of the red zone, so they will give up big plays on you. So that's who they are. That's who the Saints, that's who they be. Their kicker's been very good as well. Bailey Grupe. He has been a very solid kicker so far this season for the New Orleans Saints. And in many ways, kind of like when Phil Dawson was here, and that was kind of the whole offensive operation, Grupe has been that for them this season. He's been a phenomenal kicker. Let me give you his stats real quickly here. Blake, he is 18 of 19 on field goals this season, including he is 3 of 3 from 50 plus, 5 of 6 from 40, 6 of 6 from 30, 39, 4 of 4 from 20 to 29. So he has been very good. 95% of his kicks made so far this season. Last year he was 81%. So big improvement for him. And he, as I said, has been really their offense he's out of Arkansas State and Notre Dame is where he played his college football. So that's the Saints. They're not great.
Go beat them.
They've lost 7 of their last 8. Saint.
That's all.
Not great. There we go. All right. When we come back here on the program, we're going to wrap up hour number 1 by hearing from the head coach of your Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski. Hour number 2, we're going to hear from the voice of your Cleveland Browns, Andrew Siciliano, and we are going to as well do a little bit of guess the scores. Did I win last week? No.
I don't know the answer. I don't think so.
3-7. It's great. I love it. And I'm told by the youngsters I've been accused of cheating in the chat rooms.
They're all like, yeah. For
I'm
what?
3-7. There was like 1 week where I got
What do
like
they
4
cheat?
games in a row.
I have to come to your defense. How are you cheating?
Exactly. By the way, I'm not. If I were cheating, I would go 100% because you have the answers to the test, which I do not. So that's coming up. And then as well, a little bit of the mailbag here on a Wednesday edition. It's Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Leaf Filter is the official gutter guard of the Cleveland Browns. Go to leaffilter.com/GoBrowns to schedule your free gutter inspection and receive your exclusive promo offer. That's leaffilter.com/GoBrowns. Visit today. Do it right now. Leaves are still falling. You need those gutters clean. You don't want any of that leaf backup. So go call them, and you can visit them again at leaffilter.com/GoBrowns. Let's go back to the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience packages today for the ultimate game day experience. Here are highlights from Kevin Stefanski's press conference earlier today.
Okay, great challenge.
You're down 9 minutes.
Good football team. You watch the tape. It's a talented offense. Derek Carr is a really explosive quarterback. He can make all those throws. Have gone against him before. He's a talented player. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is the focal point of what they do. Leading receiver, leading rusher, great player. Good players all around. Defensively, they make you work. Very challenging. But from the front, instinctive linebackers. Secondary that takes the ball away. And then the special teams is excellent. Darren Rizzi does a great job, obviously, with that group. So have our work cut out for us, have to have a great week of practice. And with that, I'll take any questions.
You obviously are quite familiar with, obviously, Joe on the defensive side, as well as Clint, multiple. How much does that, I know, but how much when you talked on the tape, did you feel like, a certain comfortability?
Yeah, I think you see what they're doing, certainly, but I think it's overrated from a insider knowledge type of perspective. Obviously, Joe called it this last time for the first time, so you're seeing, how much will it change, how much will it not change. I think we'll see over the course of the next few games. And certainly offensively, I could tell you what they're calling it, but it doesn't mean it gives a great advantage to our defense.
Did it look a lot different? You said Joe called them, but just overall.
I'd say no. Yeah, I'd say no. And Matthew got the one late in that game. They are really ball aware. They do a great job. They tip balls at the line of scrimmage. They have big physical corners, but they take the ball away. They do a good job.
What did you learn, Kevin, as you did yourself scouting over this spot?
A lot. Not going to share all the specifics with you, but I would tell you, Jeff, the players understand the areas that we want to improve upon. There's a lot of things that we feel like we can do better. Some of them are very small, detail, footwork type things. Some of them are big picture, schematic things, but you work hard to identify items that you feel like your players can improve upon.
Do you feel like Jameis has a chance to kind of settle in, given, it was a late start and then you have a bye week? Do you feel like he can kind of settle in and maybe take control of his own?
I think any player with reps and with time certainly has the ability to settle in or get more comfortable with what we're doing. And, everything we do with our players, certainly the quarterback position, you want to make sure they're comfortable with him. So Jameis has been here since the spring. We've gotten to know him really well on the field as well as off the field. So I think you're getting to know his comfort level with a lot of things, more so with the more reps that he takes. I talked to Jed. It was a poor choice of words. I know the connotation of business decision. That's not how he meant it. Did not feel like he was near 100% to help us. But poor choice of words, and he understands that.
Are you expecting any fresh energy out there from you guys after the bye?
You should be recharged. You should be well rested. You should be feeling better than coming off of a game on Sunday. So I do think the guys were healthier, certainly, than we were a couple weeks ago.
Kevin, is there a reason that Jed's not healthy a year later? I mean, is it just was there a setback?
I wouldn't categorize it as setback. It hasn't recovered how quickly he would want it to, and there's obviously times that you maybe tweak an injury or you feel it again and those type of things. But, yeah, it's been a tough rehab for him.
Did that impact what you said in any way your decision to play going forward?
No. Yeah, let me reiterate. It was a poor choice of words. He did not. I know what that phrase means. That's not how he meant it.
So that didn't play into the decision of
No.
benching
No.
after the Ravens game?
No.
You guys have a big win in the
I think you just have to be careful and always look at every situation and look at the process and separate that sometimes from the result. Obviously, you're going out there every week regardless of who's where, and you're trying to win games. For us, whether it's a new player in there at wide receiver, a new player in there at defensive end, whatever it does, we expect those guys to perform. So we don't look at it that way, more so just trying to find a way to win any which way you can.
Jones started practicing at left tackle on Wednesday. So you had made the decision before you made his business, right?
Yeah, I think he was battling back from an injury, so it made it simple in my mind with DeJuan healthy and Jack healthy. Right, we moved DeJuan over there to get reps at left tackle. Yes.
All three of your tackles, though, coming off these surgeries, coming into the season, all three of them seem to have complications. Even though DeJuan was playing, he still didn't look like he was DeJuan. So is there a correlation between all three of those guys struggling to come back from these knee injuries?
I don't think so. I understand the question, Daryl, but every injury is different. Every player is different. You treat the injury based on how the guys are feeling. It's not like they all had the same injury either, so I wouldn't characterize it like that. It would. Yes. Underline that. It would help everybody.
Do you hear from those guys when maybe they don't feel you running enough?
I have good dialogue with our players. Offensive linemen want to run it. Receivers want to throw it. So I hear from all of them.
Kevin James has always been a playmaker and he's always been a bit of a risk taker. Is it difficult for a guy that's played that way maybe his whole life to kind of rewire? And I know you want to take care of the ball, but
Right.
easier said than done.
I think it's important that all of our players understand their role in our success. Jameis has played a lot of football in this league. He understands what it takes to win. He understands, obviously, taking care of the ball is paramount to what we do. He also is a player that can make throws down the field. And you want to just make sure that you're always being smart, but you're not just being conservative for the sake of being conservative.
Kevin, when the decision was made, did you consider
I wouldn't get into all that, Tony, respectfully.
Going back to the running game, how do you guys plan
To be better in a bunch of areas. I think the run game, like we talked about, you want to be able to do it efficiently, explosively when it presents itself, but being efficient in the run or the pass, but in this case, being efficient in the run game really does help out your pass game. It helps out staying out of longer down and distances. When you're negative in your run game, it really puts you behind the eight ball, so to speak, in the down and distance.
Speaking of that, is Nick told you he feels better and
He has not told me that. I see it. I mean, I think he's getting healthier and healthier. That's always our goal, is to play multiple guys back there, but it's really based on game flow.
Kevin, even just in the untrained eye, it looked like David Njoku was able to plant and maybe be a little more explosive, just even during practice. Has that ankle injury lingered and really inhibited him?
He's getting better. When you're talking about those ankle injuries, where his ankle injury was, you come back, but you're not close to 100%. So I think he's getting back to 100%.
Good. This offense good. Last one. Two straight weeks to start the year, 40 points.
Yeah.
And then
They're excellent on offense. They have dealt with a lot of injuries. Their top two receivers, the quarterback was out for 3 games. They've had injuries along the offensive line, but they're a major challenge for us. Our players understand how big a challenge this is.
All right, that's head coach Kevin Stefanski at the podium. Browns fans, this month's winner of the local business platform presented by Minutemen is Stakes Manufacturing. Stakes Manufacturing is a full-service print-on-demand company located right in Eastlake, Ohio. To learn more, visit clevelandbrowns.com/community/local business platform. All right, when we come back, the play-by-play voice of your Cleveland Browns, Andrew Siciliano, will join the program. It's Cleveland Browns Daily. It's brought to you by Ballybet. Boost your game day this season with the Bally Bet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $50 or more, and you'll get $150 back in bonus bets. Bally Bet, an official sports betting partner of the Cleveland Browns. We head out to the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, an official sponsor of the Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted Sunday. For the Browns play-by-play voice, Andrew Siciliano joining us. Mr. Siciliano, how are you? Walking on the beach right now?
No, I'm sitting in my basement updating my Madden so I could play Jameis Winston versus Derek Carr to prep for the game. I miss you guys, though.
I think that is happening in many basements around the country right now. It's the it's the return of Jameis Winston to New Orleans to take on this Saints team, and as that's part of your preparation, obviously I got in on Wednesday. I got my boards done for today. We'll get to that in a second. How was your bye week? I know that you were applauding football fans who are able to do that every Sunday, just sit around and watch football all day. But what'd you think of the bye week, and what'd you do?
I sat on my butt, and I watched football all day, and I loved it. It was glorious. I hadn't done that in a long time. Matter of fact,
yeah.
I rarely get a chance to do that. We rarely, fortunate enough to do the jobs that we do, get a chance to sit on the couch all day, maybe other than the playoffs. I got up in the morning bright and early. We had a 6:30 local kick here, the barn burner between the Giants and the Panthers in Germany. So I was up and making breakfast and saw that, and then eventually went out and got some vitamin D around 5 o'clock local before the Lions and the Texans, and then sat on my butt for 13 hours. I commend every NFL fan who does that every week. That is exhausting. It hurt my back. I don't know how people do it for 13 hours when we have a Europe game every week, but that is why we are all here. The NFL has the greatest fans. It is a test of endurance, and a hat off to each and every one of you.
It really is. It is. When they say sometimes, waiting all day for Sunday night, like you've been through a lot by that point. I don't think you're waiting for anything.
Exactly.
You've gone through it.
I loved it, though.
It was great, of course. What was your favorite game that you watched?
Games.
Now, the afternoon were some rough games.
My favorite game.
The afternoon, the 4:25 window was rough.
Commanders Steelers was great. The way it ended was frustrating as all heck. I love me some Johnny Newton, the law firm from Illinois.
For
but
sure.
When he jumped off sides, I admittedly yelled at my TV.
How could you do that?
That was a good game. George Pickens made some amazing catches. George Pickens not even attempting to make a tackle after the interception because he wanted to go full The Last of Us and eat the face of Mikey Sanders still. That was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it most certainly
Can you try
was.
to tackle the guy, George?
He obviously there are a few things that happen. It feels like every week with him that are head scratchers, but the guy's a very talented wide receiver when he is not necessarily engaged in complete craziness.
I'm looking forward to the Browns taking down the Steelers next Thursday on a one-game winning streak.
Yeah, I certainly hope that is the case. We certainly both do. All right, let's talk about how you get there. You got the New Orleans Saints coming in. They've won. New head coach, obviously. They got that interim head coach bump. He's 1-0, Mr. Rizzi. What do you make of this team's lost 7 of 8? The stats are not great, but there are names on both sides of the ball and people making plays for this team.
Alvin Kamara stands out, I think, above and beyond everyone.
Yep.
Even though he dropped that pass late in the fourth quarter, wide open. Derek Carr couldn't have thrown a better ball. He basically was a 30-yard handoff, and Kamara dropped it. I think, Nathan, if we go back to the earlier part of the season with the Commanders, with the Eagles, when so much of the conversation was coming off the Giants game and even the Cowboys game, is can this defense tackle in space? I think that is of paramount importance this week when they try to get Alvin Kamara on the edge and get him involved in the screen game. Whatever it is, you got to tackle him. He is still, maybe he's not a guy that scored 6 touchdowns on Christmas, but he's still a darn good player, and the offense goes through him. And now they have MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He looked like the guy he did 3 years ago. He's getting behind defenses. Derek Carr, even when there wasn't a lot of separation, is able, if you give him time, to drop the ball in the bucket, but you can't give him time. The Falcons are notoriously poor rushing the passer, have been that way for years. They are still that way. They can't fix that problem. The Browns have the ability to get after the passer, something the Falcons cannot do. So hopefully you put a little pressure on Derek Carr and force an interception or two, which would be nice because, as we know, the Browns will not dress an interception this week because JOK is on IR.
No, and that's a big one. They have 12-0 basically in terms of, well, they have 12 on the season. They don't have 12 on the field either with trade of Marshawn Lattimore, but yeah, that's a thing. And isn't that still surprising to you about our defense? You know, you go through the self-scout, and the one thing that I would imagine you would be really looking for is why are we not generating takeaways on the back end of this defense? And, you know, one of the things that was really weird, even this happened last season. You know, Grant Delpit got that interception week 2 in Pittsburgh, and then between Delpit, Thornhill, and McLeod, that was the only pick they had all year. And then all of a sudden, DeAnthony Bell and Hickman come in at the end of the year, and they get 3 of them. Last year, MJ Emerson had 4. Last year, Newsome had 2. Denzel Ward had a couple. They just are not taking the football away. You know, I don't know what to make of it, but it's a problem. And if you want to start winning some games, you're going to need to generate those takeaways on your, you know, very talented back end.
And not just the strips. I mean, not just the picks. How about a strip sack or two?
Sure.
That would be nice. You know, they're getting to the quarterback. They're not taking the ball necessarily away from the quarterback. Derek Carr is prone to do that if you can get to him. And they need to do that. They need to start generating the interceptions. If you go back with the turnovers in general, go back to Jim Schwartz, I think 2 weeks ago before the Charger game on the podium, was asked something along the lines of, you know, do you have any picks they've dropped this year? And he said, you know, if I go back and try to figure it out, I'd cry or something like that, whatever it was. It was a moment of levity on the podium, but they understand that they have to do that. They come in bunches usually. I would just like at least to start down that path where hopefully you can get a few, because when you get a few, you give your offense a short field, and I think this offense would appreciate a short field or two. Although they had great field position against the Chargers and didn't do anything with it. So
they most certainly did, and you're exactly right. And this is an offense. You mentioned Alvin Kamara leads the NFL in touches, 3rd in total yards. He leads their team in rushing and receiving. He's on pace for his first, which is hard to believe, his first 1,000-yard rushing season of his career.
Absurd.
Then they've got Taysom Hill, who, you know, he's completed a pass this year. He's run it 27 times and 3 touchdowns on the ground. He's caught 10 passes, had a long one last week, erased by penalty. But Olave's on IR. They just brought in Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Shaheed's on IR, who was dominant for them in the early portion of the season. They don't have a lot of traditional weapons in this pass game at all. It's kind of amazing that Derek Carr threw for 269 yards last week. This feels like a game that our defense should be able to feast on these guys.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, and they're without Cedric Wilson as well. There's a long list. Jamal Williams, there's a long list of guys that are out. You had Kevin Austin Jr. getting into the mix last week. Dante Pettis could be an option. This is a veritable who's he, as I like to call it.
Yep.
Not a who's who. But it goes through Kamara. They're gonna run I formation with Adam Prentice as the fullback, but Taysom Hill is a huge part of this, obviously, and I don't care how your fantasy lineup designates him. He's going to be a part of this offense, and they have to be aware of the trickery. They have to be aware of him carrying the football. They have to be aware of him in the passing game. It's an interesting offense with Clint Kubiak. Obviously, there's certainly crossover between what Stefanski likes to run and what Clint Kubiak likes to run. Kubiak was in the mix for the Bears OC job this past, off season, the one that went to Shane Waldron, which is already obviously blown up in their faces. This team scored 90 points the first 2 games, 93 points, something like that, the first 2 games, and then they lost 7 in a row. They got the new interim head coach bounce last week. I am fascinated to see if that bounce carries over.
Yeah, they scored. They went 47-10 over the Panthers, 44-19 at Dallas, and then they lost, as you mentioned, 7 straight games where they topped it out at 27 points. They scored 12, 24, 13, 27, 10, 8, 22 in a loss to the Panthers last week. They win with 20, but not only was it the bump of the new coach, it was also Younghoe Koo missing 3 field goals, which obviously was a huge factor in the outcome of that game. So that's who they are offensively. Yeah, you're right. And Taysom Hill, last time we played them, that was in the freezing cold on Christmas Eve here in Cleveland.
I was going to ask you about that. Obviously,
it was freezing.
Not there. Yeah, I know it goes down as the technically coldest regular season game in team history. Was it actually that cold?
Oh, yeah. Yes. And Jim
Andrew Siciliano, I will step in and tell you, there was only one game the windows went back in.
Yeah, because we tried to do it open, if
Really?
I recall, and then even Jim was like, we closed like.
We had little slits that we could put like our antennas out and the crowd mics.
If you got hit with the wind, dude, it went right through. It didn't matter what you were wearing, right through. It was brutal.
So game time temp is listed in the official NFL database as 6 degrees. What do you guess the wind chill was? The real feel.
30 or 40 below.
Yeah. I was going to say like
That
20
bad.
below, which was insane to me. I don't even have a comprehension of that, but yes,
It was lifting the ceiling tiles in the home radio booth. It was coming in and like literally lifting.
It was nuts.
The tiles.
It was nuts. I mean, that was a game. If you remember, Dalton started for them. Nobody could really throw the ball. Taysom Hill played quarterback,
completed
and
8 passes.
ran. Yeah, it was gross. It was insane.
I remember telling Gerard on the sidelines, I was like, the moment you start to lose any feeling somewhere, go inside.
Just go. Yeah,
you're
come
done.
up here with us.
Like,
You can do the
just
sideline
take a
show up
breather and then come back.
And Chief still warmed up without his shirt on, which is
Yeah.
completely nuts. He must have Vaselined up.
I remember that.
Because it was too cold.
I'll say this, and I know you guys haven't been to New Orleans in a while. I have not been since 2018. The press box in New Orleans. 2 things to remember. Number one, it is so high. I mean, you may as well be on the moon, and it is going to be so cold. You may as well be on the moon because something with the way that building is constructed. The air conditioners at the top right above the press box blowing cold air down on the fans. It's great for them. Obviously, it's always muggy, and it's going to be like in the 70s when we get there. But it is the coldest press box, first world problems, in the entire NFL, bar none. There is no second. So you are on the roof, and it is freezing.
Man.
Now, I was told by their
complaints. We're
tech
there.
people that they have updated and upgraded a bunch of stuff because obviously they're hosting the Super Bowl. So let's hope that is the case. I have asked for extra monitors and whatnot as well for you all.
I'm not complaining.
No, you can. I know how high that is. It's not ideal.
I don't want to complain because no. Complaining, like for those listening in their car right now, they're going, great, they're going to go to the game. I'd rather be at the game. Stop complaining. So I will never complain. I love my job. It's going to be cold. Dress warmly. I'm doing a public service.
Well, I'm going to. I told you I'm going to get the velvet. That's all I can do. Try to stay that warm velvet with a little hoodie under it. By the way, in addition to calling the game and all the various things that you do, Big Ten football and NBC, our play-by-play, you've got the Bark Tank. You also have the Siciliano show, and you set up a YouTube channel. I'm trying to give you a little pub here. I saw you tweet that out. I just
Look at you. Yeah.
Yeah. How about it?
I thank you. You're nice. I actually set that up months ago. I just didn't do anything with it and haven't promoted it. And so I don't know, felt like tweeting because I'm sitting here playing Madden. Maybe I'll tweet that I set up a YouTube page. That's it. I'm not good at it. I just, everyone's got one. So I figured I'd do one. Yeah, that's it. But I thank you.
Of course.
Good teammate.
Of course.
Appreciate you.
Please. Are you playing while talking? Is the offense executing, or have you paused the game?
I had to update because I hadn't turned this on in a couple of weeks, so I had to update with the new stuff. I have now Christian McCaffrey staring at me, and it's flashing, please press any button. So I'll do that eventually. I'm a multitasker. I'm not that good. Yeah.
By the way,
got to make sure Kevin Austin Jr. is on the roster.
Exactly. Some news out of Minnesota. Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy has now had a second surgery on his right knee this week to address swelling that developed after an uptick in rehab. As part of the procedure, he was given a biologic injection, no changes to the recovery timetable. I don't know what a biologic injection is, but that doesn't ever sound good to me.
A second surgery for what was supposed to be no surgery is routine, but
sure.
For what was supposed to be just a basic MCL tear, that to me is a bit disconcerting. I had my buddy try to convince me yesterday that, Aaron Rodgers should do the Favre and just go to Minnesota next year because wouldn't you want Aaron Rodgers more than J.J. McCarthy? And I shook him by the shoulders and said no.
Oh, man. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, what's the rest of your week? Getting ready to get out to New Orleans. What do you got going on?
Rest of the week is prep for this one. So prep for this one, and I will see you guys in New Orleans. I look forward to that. Get the band back together and
yes.
miss you guys, despite, fun sitting on the couch last week. What did you do with your bye week? Was it nearly as enjoyable as mine?
It was very enjoyable. Home with the kids. Gibbe went on a little trip, right, Gibbe?
I heard that.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
How was it?
Indian Lake, Ohio, baby.
Great.
Or Lakeview, Ohio.
Where is that?
Indian Lake. It's about 2.5 hours southwest.
So through Columbus?
It's just to the northwest of Columbus, about an hour.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. Off the
Were
grid.
they complaining about noon kickoffs when you were there?
Yes, actually they were, because we did go to a bar and watch the game, and everybody was complaining. Although you would have never guessed it by how much alcohol was being consumed, they were not pleased to be starting so early.
Well, it was 45-0, so, whatever.
Yeah, and this can be noon this week, too. The rest of them, Michigan obviously should be noon, but Indiana should be at 3:30.
Indiana should be prime time, dude. That's a big game.
I'd watch that in prime time.
Yeah. Well, it's the big noon kickoff. That's what happens when that's the branding.
We don't have a game that day or the next day. We can live.
We can live. When is that after? That's after the Steelers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's after the Steelers.
All right, Mr. Siciliano, before we let you go, I want you to guess the remainder of the Browns' schedule, because I don't know that it's ever been a situation where we have 8 games left, and it's possible that 3 of them are not played as scheduled. What do you we got?
Okay.
We'll start Monday night in Denver. To stay or nay?
Oh, or are we saying that game stays?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
I'm saying yeah. I think we have 3 games that could be moved, and
I thought you were asking him to project the final 8. I was like, whoa.
No, the Miz did that on the Miz already did that on the Eisen show. 8 straight wins. He had great rationale for every single one of them. No, I meant
No, 8. No.
I meant
totally.
Is the game going to stay or get moved? Because I think we have.
Okay.
I don't remember a time like this where we have 3 of the final 8 potentially not
moving.
Yeah, potentially moving,
and not in a good way.
So we'll start with Denver.
I'm going to say that Monday, the Monday night game in Denver, I believe. I think that one may move, but we have to know that one by next Friday, the way I understand it. So the day after the Steelers game.
Yep.
I think that game might be moved. The holdup is you have 3 games Thursday. You got a Black Friday game. It is a holiday weekend, and there is only so much inventory that can be moved with the holiday logistics. So I think that one might be efforted, but I don't know that it's actually going to go through. The Cincinnati game, I've gone back and forth on this because I've heard conflicting. I don't think I'm speaking out of school.
No.
I think there's one school of thought to move it. However, again, logistically, let's just go back to...
And that would have to be known,
the
this
Biltmore last
Tuesday?
year.
It has to be known next week because it's 30 days.
Week.
Yeah.
It would have to be actually, as luck would have it, the day that there is another TNF game when we have the Steelers next week at home. Let me just say this. For those who think that game is going to be moved, let's go back to the owners' meetings a year and a half ago when the league put in this Thursday night flexibility. They said at the time, because there was a lot of pushback against it. John Mara, for example, the owner of the Giants, was angrily against the idea of moving Thursday night games, said it was unfair to the fans. What John Mara said and what others said, that this has to happen only in case of an emergency. For example, like the Jets last year. Aaron Rodgers injured in week 1. Hypothetically, the Jets are now a 1-win team by the time you get to mid-December. That's why we moved that game. While this game may not be as attractive when we get there as it looked when it was scheduled back in April and May, that is not a disaster scenario. There were no games on Thursday's move last year. And so making this a precedent-setting game, I don't buy that. I don't think that this is the game they want to set the precedent on. This is the one that we finally move. I don't think it happens. I could tell you it's being talked about, but I don't know that it actually happens.
I would also say this: it's the Hard
29th.
Knocks.
Go ahead.
Hard Knocks is going on during that time too.
Right.
So that's another factor as well. The Sunday night game, December 29th, before New Year's against the Dolphins, that one's tough.
That one's going to get moved. I feel like that's automatic.
That
I
one's
think
tough.
I think that's
that
the
one
most likely to move. I think
Yes.
Thursday night's the least likely to move, and I think Monday night's in the middle.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And there it is. And there it is. All right. Well, we'll find out. Next week is a big week. We got
Next week's a big week.
Steelers game.
It's moving
and
week,
we'll know. I think on
potentially.
Tuesday we have to know about the Thursday night game, and then I think Thursday or Friday, as Andrew said, we would find out about the Monday night game. So lots to look at. Actually, I'll get one more while I got here because this keeps coming up all over my timeline.
Yeah. You want to go to Lakers Pelicans Saturday night?
Lakers Pelicans. Oh, is that what's going on down there?
It is.
How about the fact that
I'd rather go to dinner, but
I think we got to go to
you guys
we got to go to the Palace, brother.
You're don't going to dinner with luminaries.
We got to go to the Palace. Get some turtle soup. They're famous for it. Isn't that what they serve in Cincinnati?
That's Mike Brown's annual State of the Union
no,
address.
in Cincinnati they serve awful chili on top of awful
spaghetti.
soggy spaghetti.
Yeah,
spaghetti.
this is true. This is true. So Dion has now come out and said, in addition to making sure that Shadur Sanders gets drafted by the right team, he is now saying that he's going to make sure that Travis Hunter will be drafted by the right organization and the perfect fit. And there are reports saying that Dion has promised him that he will essentially pick the team he is drafted by. My reaction was exactly yours. There's no way the league is going to let somebody come in and start deciding where people get drafted. Now, the last time that I can remember that this happened this way, right, is that Eli Manning, and that did in essence work out for Eli Manning, going to instead of the Chargers, went to the Giants. But has that happened since? And do you think there's any way the league is going to allow that to happen?
So, I love Dion. We used to work together, and I applaud him on his success. I don't know how he could actually pull this off. I mean, for one player at the top of the draft, that's one thing. You could certainly exert some influence if you know someone's going to be the number one overall pick. And look, Caleb and his old man kind of sort of tried to do it last year. At least his old man did. Whenever the Bears took him, the Bears weren't going to blink, and he's fine there at least for now. Call me in the off season. For two players, I don't know how you can do that. I think. And I've said this before, the next big attempt to quote unquote try and break the draft is if you get, let's say, a dozen college players, blue chip guys, who band together and try to say, no, we will not be beholden to the draft and we're going to sue. And they try to break the draft. Because with so much NIL money, they now have the ability to just, almost like the USFL days, just say, no, I'm going to go back to school and make big money. And you know what? I don't want to be told where I have to work. You know, these Gen Z kids who don't like to be told anything. I'm not trying to be an angry old man here. I'm not saying get off my lawn, but I do think, and I've heard people in the NFL say that is the next big thing. It might be 10 years away, and I don't think they could win the lawsuit, but they might try. As for Dion trying to influence where his son goes, I'm sure he'll try to do that. And, you know, I don't know if it's going to work.
Never dull. Never dull. That stuff we'll deal with, obviously, in the offseason in 2025. Mr. Siciliano, never dull with you either. We appreciate the time, and looking forward to seeing you down in New Orleans.
Yes, sir. Travel safe. See you then.
All right, you as well. The great Andrew Siciliano joining us when we come back. Time for a little Guess the Scores. Can I get on the winning side of it? I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't felt good about it in quite some time. But we'll see. Coming up next year on Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. When a medical mistake causes you injury, call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Elk and Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns Daily, of course, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Time for Week 11 of Guess the Scores, and I think we're either at 3-7 or 4-6. Either way, it's not good.
But that when you do bad on this, you usually do well on Fridays.
Nah, it happened once.
I love it that you're admitting defeat.
All right, well, we'll see. We'll see what I can do this week.
All right. We can do that. We'll kick things off. Thursday night, Philly, Fly Eagles Fly, hosting the Commies. Marshawn Lattimore not going to play this week. His debut for the Commies will wait for another week. Eagles hosting Commies.
Eagles -4.
Got it. Eagles -3.5.
There we go. Good start.
Good start. To the Sunday slate. There's some good games this week, and then there are some games. This one, 1 o'clock, Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn, Ratbirds, Squealers, Hot Dog Water USA, Steelers playing host.
Ravens. I feel like on a neutral field, or in Baltimore, this would be Ravens -7. So on the road, that would drop it down to 4. I'm going to split the difference. Ravens -3.5.
There you go. Ravens -3.
Ooh. All right.
Good job. You're
good
feeling
start.
it. You're
Good start.
feeling it here. 1 o'clock from Chicago. It is the Bears hosting the Green Bay Packers. This is the Tom Brady game. 1 o'clock.
Jeez.
Packers at Bears.
Bears are dreadful right now. Packers, I think this would be Packers -7 in Green Bay. I think it could be more than that, though. Packers -4.5.
First miss. Packers -6.5.
What?
Yep.
Oh, that's big. Okay.
Huge. This is crazy. Trevor Lawrence is not going to play.
Right.
Mac Jones going to continue to play.
Right.
Who else do they have as a quarterback?
I don't know.
Can they play ETN at quarterback? Anybody else? Jags going to Detroit City to take on the Motor Kitties.
So this
Leons hosting Jacksonville.
This one can only be one of two numbers. It's either -14 or it's -17. I don't think they would even go above 17. I don't know if they'd take it to set. I don't think they need. I think it's going to be 14. Lions -14.
I can't. You got it. -13.5. It is probably the biggest score this season.
Yeah.
Look at you getting that. Now the conspiracy theorist online. These two are going to be.
Are they saying something? Are you kidding me?
No. I'm telling you, they're going to be like, Gibbs, the message board's going crazy.
Is it? Better
No.
not be.
It better not be. What are you going to do if it is?
Nothing. Haters going to hate.
So that was an awful game. This one's not a whole lot better. Minnesota on the road visiting Nashtucky and the Tennessee Titans. Spiro Ditas, Archuleta Aditi.
Vikings -7.
Sorry, Vikings -5.5.
What?
Yes.
All right, 3-2. That feels like that should be bigger.
Very sad. God, just these. Some of these are rough, and quarterback changes galore. Gardner Minshew is going to get the start for the Raiders on Sunday. They are going to Miami. The Dolphins, maybe that tier that they are in should have been bumped up one. Miami hosting the Raiders. Our good friend Tom McCarthy on the call.
Miami -7.
Miami -7.5.
All right, 4-2.
There you go. You're back.
Okay.
Just ram it. Visiting New England. Rams at Patriots. Rams on a short week. I'm assuming. Oh no, the Rams played at SoFi. God, short week, and they got to come east.
I feel like the Rams would be 7-pointers. So I'm going to say Rams -4.
Rams -5.
Dang it. I almost did 4.5.
Should have taken the half. Our game, Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma.
Saints
Megan Alibi.
-1. This one I've seen.
Browns at Saints.
Saints -1.
It's -1.5 now, but you got it.
All right, get it.
It's fine, Vegas. You don't know what you're talking about. The Fighting Yellowstones, not so fighting. Anthony Richardson back as a starting QB. What is going on there?
You got to just play the kid. I mean,
yeah. Fighting Yellowstones at the most hated team in the National Football League, staying in, I'm sure, glorious Jersey City. Jets hosting the Colts to round out the 1 o'clock slate.
I don't even know who's favored in this game.
Well,
honestly.
that's why it's called Guess the Scores. See, that's going to be a conspiracy. The message board's going to light up on that one.
Why? I'm saying that I don't even have a Jets. Jets are dreadful. Colts are not much better. Jets -2.5.
Jets -4.
Oh God. All right, 5 and 4.
All right. It's all right. You're still ahead. We get into the 4 o'clock slate. The gutless Falcons at the gutless Broncos. Which one will be gutless this week? Denver hosting Atlanta. I wonder how much of the country is actually going to watch this game, considering CBS as the big one at 4 o'clock.
Falcons just lost on the road against New Orleans. Denver -2.5.
Got it. On the nose.
Oh, all right. 6 and 4.
Good job.
Falcons should be favored in that game.
Should be, but after last week's debacle.
Yeah.
This is a good one in the NFC West. Your 49ers playing host to the Seattle Seahawks. Joe Davis, Greg Olson, Pam Oliver.
Niners -7.
Niners -6.5.
All right.
Does that guarantee you a win here?
7 and 4 right now.
Oh, nope.
No, I got to get one more.
Got to get one more. Well, this is the one. This is America's Game of the Week. Nance, Romo, Wolfson, Kansas City going to Buffalo. Did you see the entire CBS studio crew is going to be live from Buffalo?
No, that's cool.
It is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Bills playing host to Kansas City, the top two teams in the AFC.
Bills -3.
Bills -2. Couldn't close the door just
2.5. Well, now in these ones, I have no idea. The next two.
Sunday Night Football. This one was flexed in. Cincinnati. Hashtag
What did it replace? Do you remember what was originally there?
I don't off the top of my head.
I could have seen Colts Jets.
It might have been Colts Jets. It could have been Falcons Broncos.
On Sunday night? No, the Broncos. No.
It was Colts Jets.
Colts
according
Jets.
to the G-Man.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Bengals.
Northern Kentucky Bengals at Los Angeles.
Chargers -3.
Chargers -1.5.
Oh God, I'm uptight because I have no idea on this last one.
Final one, Monday Night Foosball. Texans visiting the gutless Dallas Cowboys. Buck, Aikman, Salters. By the way, the bye week this week, G-Men, good.
Arizona.
Cardinals, Buccaneers, and Panthers. I think Tampa Bay will get Mike Evans back.
Texans. God, the Cowboys are so bad.
They are
Texans -7.
You will have a winning week, my friend.
Let's go!
Texans -7.5.
Oh, baby. W. All right.
We should do so much more to come. We'll do questions. We will do a mailbag.
We'll do a couple mailbag questions when we come back.
That's
Holy
fantastic.
moly. That came down to the wire. By the way, join Gerard and I Thursday night from 7 to 8 for the Kevin Stefanski Show live from Razzles in Olmsted Falls.
Let's go.
Meet Browns offensive lineman DeJuan Jones, compliments of our friends at Bud Light. A couple mailbag questions. Just a little teaser here as we get things rolling here on Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Browns fans, enter Huntington Bank Field quicker on game day with Express Access presented by Verizon. Also new this year, select concession stands will offer Express Access presented by Bud Light. Enroll for free today. Go to the tickets tab in the Browns mobile app to learn more. Time now for a quick mailbag presented by Cross Country Mortgage, the official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns. When it comes to financing, we always get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029.
Beautiful. Tweet at us at Browns_Daily.
Yeah, real quick, Browns fans, we're giving away a stealth recliner courtesy of Zip Chair by Dream Seat at the end of the season. Visit zipchair.com to learn more about how to deck out your fan cave with custom Browns branded furniture. It's sweet. We're getting some people to sign it.
Dwan's going to sign it tomorrow night.
Oh, baby. How about that? We're bringing it?
Huh?
You're bringing it?
No. Like, it has a removable piece. That's actually a zippable piece.
That's why it's called the Zip Chair.
Well, there you go. There you go. It's super comfy. I know that. Siciliano lived out of it for 3 weeks.
It's a lovely chair.
Yeah, it was good. Tweet at the show at Browns_Daily. Love a dog today. What is your favorite board game? Sorry for me. I love Sorry.
Sorry's good. When you play Sorry, though, do you play like traditional or do you play with like fire and ice, like the new kind of Sorry where they have that? No, you don't even know about that, where you can put ice on a thing and then the person can't move at all. Fire, you like zip around and you can pull people in. I like Sorry a lot. It just gets it can get heated when people are ganging up on people. When I was a kid, I used to love Aggravation. Was a great game. You played like dots, little marbles went around.
Oh, there you go,
you could cut through the middle if you hit it right. That was a great game. I do like Monopoly from time to time. I like Life from time to time. I don't know if it's a board game per se, but I really like categories because it makes you think.
Love Scattergories.
And then I love the debates afterwards on whether or not something counts or not.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
Game. My favorite card game right now, Pedro is my old favorite card game, but I just don't know many people that play it in the Midwest. Everyone plays euchre. So
big euchre.
Euchre's great. Euchre's great. But I think what I've come to realize, like Pedro has a lot more strategy to it than euchre, and you can kind of play around. I think like a really good Pedro player has like a 10% advantage maybe. In euchre, if you're playing with people who all know how to play euchre and don't do dumb stuff, it really is the cards are 99% of it. But if you're playing with people who don't really know how to play euchre, a good euchre player can smoke them.
Yes. Correct. That's half the fun.
Yeah.
Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
If you could undo one moment in your life, what would it be?
Next question.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on decorating outside for Christmas? When is it too early? It's actually, now is a perfect time because the weather is good.
Carte blanche. It's after you cannot go before Halloween.
But
agree. After Halloween, I say carte blanche.
But
go
if
for
it's
it.
if you get a day like this weekend's going to be like 60 degrees, throw them up.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of, so like yesterday, hold on one second. I got to find my. Here we go. Yesterday it was very nice, and I wanted to give a shout out to the Cleveland Furniture Bank. Craig and Dante, they came over and they got a bunch of my stuff out and they give it to people who need it for their homes. It was very nice, but it created a big space in my unfinished part of my basement, and so now I was able to get all my outdoor furniture in there, and I did that all yesterday because it is nice. I think it's a perfect time right now. You want to put up all your stuff, put it up. It's great out. You're not going to freeze. Everybody's going to feel great. Even if you don't want to plug some of it in yet, just have it out there. Have it ready to roll. Yeah.
Yeah, now's the time because
I got to get
otherwise,
my Frosty.
Then when are you taking it down?
Yeah, I got to get my Frosty Snowman.
Potentially April. Trey Carey, favorite restaurant in New Orleans? It's a good question. I don't know where to go.
I don't necessarily have one. I'm excited to eat at Commander's Palace. It's a very famous New Orleans institution. When I was there for the Super Bowl, is really the only time that I've ever like gone out and eaten in New Orleans. I don't even remember where we ate last time.
I can remember. Again, this is a great gym story. You were not with us. I think you were eating. Yeah, you might have had a corporate partner event. It was Donovan, me, McBurnett, Spano, maybe Clay, And we literally walked down because we stayed off of Bourbon Street.
Yep. We stayed right on it. Yep.
Yeah. And we walked down. Jim
Oh,
was
you're
like,
right. I did go to a
Jim
corp dinner. I don't remember where I went.
I don't know. Jim was like, let's get a Hurricane. I always wanted one. I'm like, whoa, 1, 2, 3 floor is a legit thing with a Hurricane.
They're also very sweet.
Yes. Yes. So we had one, and then we literally just thought we could walk into any restaurant. And some restaurant, I think they took pity on us. And they like created a table for us. It was an unbelievable meal, but we were just a block off of Bourbon Street. But the food, anywhere you go, is fantastic.
It is good. Bo really likes the city
2 minutes.
more than, or knows it better than I do, certainly. But I've been there for a couple WrestleManias. I've never had a bad meal. I don't know that we've ever gone anywhere fancy. I had one place that had a great brunch. I remember when I was there for the Super Bowl, we went to some place that was in like the warehouse district. And I remember whatever I got was served in a cigar box and had like smoke in it, and it was like a smoked like tenderloin or something. It was awesome. So I've had good food there.
It's a great city. I said this is the road trip that you wanted to take.
Yeah.
Bet the price of tickets probably is pretty good right now. Your biggest expense is going to be your plane ticket because there's no good way to get there.
No. You used to connect through like Nashville usually or something.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Kyle Ryan said, would you rather be in the I'm assuming, he said, would you rather main event a WrestleMania or the Browns win a Super Bowl? I think we want the Browns to win a Super Bowl.
I'll take a Browns winning Super Bowl. I've lived out my professional wrestling dream
1 minute.
already.
1 minute.
With Jeff Jarrett, which was incredible. The Browns winning Super Bowl. Me main eventing WrestleMania benefits me. Browns winning Super Bowl benefits so many people and everybody I care about and everybody who listens to the show and everybody in this building that I care about. So Browns win a Super Bowl, easy. I take that. You could say this or Browns win a Super Bowl. I'll take
30.
Browns win a Super Bowl over
30.
everything that doesn't involve my like family or the health of the people that I love. All right, next level is next. Thanks for listening. Cleveland Browns Daily brought to you by Bally Bet on WKNR Cleveland. 850 ESPN. Let's see if I can put those in the exact wrong order. A word jumble. 850 ESPN Cleveland WKNR.
There you go.
There it is.